Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fuck Wellness.
Oh my gosh, we're getting right into it. Okay,
Lara,
hi.
we got 35 minutes. We're diving right in.
Wait, so true. I'm gonna start the timer right now.
Also, I hope that people.
Give Fitz more food.
I did not.
No.
Um, what is he eating? I think his lunch
Okay.
or breakfast.
Alright.
I have been longing for the sultry sick voice for a while, and I think this is the closest I'm ever going to get to it. So I hope you all enjoy the depth of my voice today.
You sound the same.
Hey,
Baby girl,
Ryan.
you sound exactly the same.
Guys,
Yeah,
I
she
actually
sounds exactly the
I
same.
actually needed more than
Yeah,
this. Thank
that's
you,
right.
though.
I'm also here.
Okay.
Yeah, McKenna's voice sounds a bit deeper.
Yeah, McKenna is very ill today, as you can tell.
Oh my God, yeah. And I'm McKenna. Not
And
that
I'm
McKenna has a low voice. I just want to say like Ryan's pretending. Okay.
No, I have a cold today, guys.
Okay. I think we're done. Okay, I did bring Ryan on for a reason, not just because he's a good fuck. Just kidding.
Jesus Christ.
Y'all, we're doing this podcast no edits. Mallory thinks that she will need to edit this, but
Striking that.
I think we should go no edits.
No edits. Okay. Ryan just struck it from the record, but it will not be struck from the
All
record.
right.
Okay. So Ryan's here to fact check something that he and my mom have highlighted that we were incorrect about on a previous podcast, that they were very concerned that we were giving incorrect information. So do you remember what it is now? No. Okay. He still does not remember.
I just think, first of all, it's funny that you don't even know the question you want to ask
I
me,
do.
but- Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I know what it is, but go ahead and ask the question.
Okay. So, maybe like 2 pods ago, McKenna was talking about going to her financial advisor and asking to, change investments based off of, social, ethical, moral strategy. Nothing incorrect there. Like that was all correct. But then I can't remember, one of us asked if there was a price to switching your money out of its current investing strategy to a different one. And I said that I did not think that there was any inherent like amount of money or charge to switching your investment strategy. I am incorrect, and Ryan will now clarify the data.
So yeah, I'm not actually McKenna, it's Ryan, guys. So yes, there
People were
are
very
in
confused.
fact 3 kinds of costs that you might incur if you're just switching investments out. So let's say that you're switching mutual funds, for example. So the first cost you would run into is if you have a gain on the fund that you hold currently and you sell it to buy a new one, there, depending on how long you've held the fund, there could be either short-term or long-term capital gains associated with it. So like if you hold the fund for a year or less, that would be short-term gains, year longer, and it would be long-term capital gains, which have different tax rates associated with them that I don't know off the top of my head. The second type of cost you'd want to consider is the actual fund management fees. So folks who manage mutual funds or index funds, they have to be compensated. So there's usually a management fee associated with funds. They're not large, but I mean, obviously, like the more money you have with the fund, the more relevant the management fee becomes, because it goes from just being, maybe $100 a year or $50 a year to hundreds or thousands of dollars a year if you have a lot of money with the same fund. So you have to look at the management fee of the fund that you're going to. And then the third is potentially transaction fees, but brokerage platforms increasingly don't have transaction fees for most trading that your average investor would do. That wasn't the case like 5 or 10 years ago, but and if there are transaction fees, they're typically really low these days. So, but still a consideration. So capital gains, if they're unless you have a loss, then you might be able to write it off in your taxes. But capital gains, fund management fees, and transaction costs of doing the trade. So there's kind of 3 costs.
Mm.
I understood about 27% of that, but
I'm gonna say I'm about at 16%.
okay. Yeah. Long story short, there may be some costs associated with switching your investment strategy. Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah, you have to look, see what's up with your unique situation.
You know,
Wow.
this podcast has so much depth. I mean, I feel like we go vulnerability, we go financial management.
We
Yeah.
go sex, we go gender, we
Yeah.
go feelings, we go sadness, we go happiness, we
We go
go
grocery
financial
store.
literacy, we go grocery store,
Yeah.
we go like there's
Yeah.
what's a space we haven't touched? I don't know.
I
Let us
mean,
know.
yeah, literally do not know. Yeah. The alt-right, I mean, we've talked about them.
We talked about Ozempic, like
Yeah.
babes, we've done it all. I don't know what to
Yeah.
tell you, but literally DM us if there's something we haven't talked about.
Yeah,
We'll
please let
research
us
it.
know. Yeah, we'll do it. Anything else you'd like to add while you're here, Ryan?
No, I don't think so. Unless you have other finance questions.
Nope. None. 0.
Or questions about civic technology,
No, none of those.
federal GovTech, anything.
Nope. I actually
Okay,
think
all
we're
right.
good.
I
And you
mean,
Yeah.
there's a
can
bunch
leave.
of topics, black holes, quantum
Okay.
mechanics.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go on and on about all sorts
Okay.
of
Love you,
stuff.
honey. Bye.
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 Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, unless specifically asked by our listeners to talk more about finances, I'm gonna say we take a little break.
Yeah, I would love to not do that.
Yeah. Okay, hi.
Hello, it's just Lara and me. I don't literally, when is the last time it was just us on the pod? Maybe
I
never.
don't I don't know, but I have like excited butterflies in my belly.
Oh, why? Why butterflies?
Because it's like we're on a date.
Is it? You go on a lot of dates with a microphone?
It's just like it's fun time just of with us two. And I think I have also butterflies because I really don't want you to have to edit this. So I'm trying to be really on it. Sorry. Shoot, I shouldn't have said
You're gonna have
oh.
to edit that shit out.
No, don't. This is real and raw. And I think that the listeners want real and raw Lara and Mallory time.
Can I just say that the tempo of your speech has gone up in this podcast in comparison to other ones, so I appreciate the attempt.
What do you mean? Like I'm going faster?
Yeah, you're speaking faster than you usually do. You're very methodical in your words normally.
Yeah, I do think that that's been a goal of mine is just slowing down more to do this thing called thinking before I
Mm.
speak.
I don't
But
like when you do that though.
no, I can tell. Also, the way that we started this podcast was really just sprinting out the gate. So I think I'm keeping that speed up for you.
Yeah, but honestly, if you had to describe our podcast in one word, I would describe it as chaotic. So I think in a good way, not in a bad way. And so I think we're just always on brand.
Totally. Because I don't know about you, but I've been kind of getting the ick recently when people are too put together.
Oh yeah. Wait, who's put together?
I mean, no one I pay attention to anymore on social media. It's so icky. Like sometimes I think TikTok feeds me content of people organizing their cars or organizing their office. And I'm just like, this is icky to me. This feels so disgusting almost.
I saw this hysterical video from this I feel like she's a dietitian. I can't remember. When I have do you ever have phases of following groups of people on Instagram where I had a phase where I followed every intuitive eating dietitian and I'm slowly deciding which ones I actually would like to keep following and which ones I'm I know everything you have to say. And
Mhm.
so anyway, she was one of the people I think I followed, but she had made a reel where she was like 5 steps to clean out your cupboard, your Tupperware cupboard. And then but it was like a parody because she opened it and it was like the messiest Tupperware thing ever. And she's like, first step is you just throw your Tupperware in there and like see what happens. Step 2, you get a plastic bag from whatever shopping trip you went on and just stuff stuff in and then push it to the very back. And I was like, okay, I'm really glad where this went because I was very concerned that this was going to be like an actual Tupperware organization video. And this is so much better and validating. So
Oh, yeah.
it was very funny.
That's hilarious. There are, I mean, our Tupperware container now, because of McKenna, solely because of McKenna, is very nicely organized, not to brag. But our Tupperware drawer in Boulder, I think caused maybe like 9 meltdowns, legitimately, between all of us roommates and serious meltdowns. So
Yeah, Tupperware really does it.
it does it.
Yeah. There's a lot of feelings around it.
Oh my gosh, I'm feeling a little remnants of rage inside of me thinking
Yeah.
about that drawer.
I talked to my therapist about rage again this week. So this is an ongoing topic and I feel like, we haven't made it an official theme of the podcast, but I feel like more or less rage is becoming our theme.
I think it's gonna be top of my mind for quite a bit because there's just over and over again so many examples of people being put in front of me where I'm like, you have so much rage, and the way that you are expressing it is not okay.
Mm-mm.
But what did you talk to your therapist about?
I feel like I'm just still working through expressing rage
Yeah.
and like my therapist always tells me that I'm very self-aware, but I am also very good at intellectualizing everything that I feel. And
Mhm.
so I think at times I can tell that I'm frustrated or irritated, but partly because of socialization and partly just like as a people pleaser and then partly just who I am. It's like I want to get out of that emotion as quickly as possible.
Mhm.
Um, and my therapist, I didn't know this. She said, and I literally sent her the Dr. Becky podcast because she used to teach a class for parents on rage, and she talked about how like so many parents it would sell out every time because parents would come and be like, I yelled at my kid, and when before I had a child, I never thought I would yell at my kid. Like I was like,
Mhm.
no, this is my sweet baby, I would never yell at them. And then you feel this rage that you didn't even know that you could possibly have for your child, and it's scary and it's vulnerable and you feel out of control. And, so anyway, she was describing the kind of the opposite of the problem I have, which is she had one of the sessions, she would have like people pass around this cape, and on the outside it said anger, and on the inside it had like letters cut out saying like guilt, shame, disappointment, embarrassment, people pleasing, like basically the things that are also behind the anger that we feel. And she was like, it's funny because you kind of have the opposite where it's easier for you to show the other emotions than it is
Mhm.
for you to show anger. So you would wear the cape the opposite way around. And I thought that was kind of an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah. I think it's also interesting to think about how all of those, I don't know, your therapist saying that you're really good at intellectualizing all of that. I think I noticed this within myself as well, where it's easier for me to think about the feeling or to talk about the feeling after it's occurred than to just feel it because I don't know how to do the feeling perfectly. How do
Yeah.
I feel it perfectly? Because where is there an example in the world of someone, feeling rage really well? I
No.
don't know. Like, I don't even know what that looks like. And I think I really struggle with doing things when I'm like, well, how do I do it well?
Yeah, how do I achieve my way
How do I get
through
an A
this?
plus at feeling XYZ?
Yeah.
And that's, no such thing.
Okay, and I've just realized I have more therapy thoughts,
Oh.
um, that is related. So, my therapist asked me, and I'm curious for your response on this too, like, when you feel anger, like, especially towards another person, how do you respond? And so I was like, I feel like I respond either with avoidance, like total shutdown, not engaging with it, like need space immediately from what's going on. Or two, which is somewhat similar, but a little bit different. I think I get passive aggressive
Mhm.
and get a little petty about it.
Mhm.
I feel like those are my 2 main reactions. Mostly I think I just shut down though,
Yeah.
mainly. But we were talking about it in relation to Ryan, and I think with Ryan, I very much am like with all of everyone else in my life, I think I have an anxious attachment style, or I'm more likely to have anxious attachment. With Ryan, I'm way more likely to have avoidant. And I think it's because he is more anxious attachment. And so then it's like the magnet where like,
Mhm.
you know, so if I'm mad at him, I shut down, I go in the room. He does the fawn response and
Mhm.
overly checks in on me, and then I get even more annoyed because he's not giving me space. And anyway, I talked all this through with my therapist, and it was so interesting to think about. So I'm curious how you respond to anger, like what your default is.
I definitely think it's different being in a partnership with someone versus being in friendship with someone.
Yeah.
I think my first reaction is more of definitely shutting down. Like I'm not confrontational. I'm trying to get better at it. It's something that I've been kind of in a journey to get better at confrontation for many, many years now, but it's not natural to me at all
No.
to go headbutt into a situation. So for sure, a bit of shutting down, but I definitely think I tend to get really in my head about, say, I'm feeling angry towards my partner. I immediately am like, well, let's go back into the timeline of Lara's life. What in Lara's life has happened that could make her feel this way based off of this trigger? And then we're like really, really like in the weeds of the history, trying to understand why I'm feeling what I'm feeling. And then I escape from myself and I think about the person I'm angry with. And it's like, well, what's happening in their life and what does their history consist of that could make them do this thing that I'm now angry at? And I just really, and this is based off of, I think, not just my nature at all, definitely based off experience that I've had in conflict where I've been asked to really hyper understand someone else. And therefore, I think that's kind of where I go, even now, when I'm thinking about hypothetical times I've been angry at someone or recent times I've been angry at someone. I get really into the weeds of like, let's try and understand what's happening here as versus just saying, hey, that was really uncool.
Which one could argue that there's good parts to your reaction, right?
Mhm.
Because you're doing some perspective taking and
True.
leading with empathy, but then to your point earlier, you're not feeling the
No.
emotion.
Mm-mm.
And
No.
I think I do similar to you where I try to see, and maybe it's a little bit different. I try to see every reason I could actually be wrong in that situation where my
Mhm.
anger is not valid. Like truly right now I'm trying to think any time recently that I've been angry, and I basically gaslight myself in the situation, and I'm
Yeah.
like, you have no valid reason to be angry, or
Mhm.
they have a super valid reason to feel the way they feel and you do not.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm also curious from your perspective, are your reactions to anger this like what do they look like differently with friends and partners?
I think thinking about past partners, I'm pretty good at staying in that anger feeling. But I will say, like, it's quite rare that I feel or that I have felt extreme amounts of anger towards partners.
I can
I'm
remember a few, but okay.
like, I can think of a few big ones for sure. But it's just I would say it's fewer times and maybe bigger scale things, whereas with friends, it's more small scale, like much smaller scale things. More frequently, I might become frustrated or angry, but I think instead of saying staying in the feeling of anger, because again, I don't know how to perfectly do that, I get sad. I
Yeah.
turn into I definitely get avoidant and I get more sad or, you know, upset, less staying in like the fire of anger, more getting kind of murky sadness.
Yeah. I can't really think of a time I've ever been legit angry at you.
I don't know. I've never.
Like I'm really trying to think of I don't know. There's times I felt frustrated or
Yeah.
irritated.
Let's talk about them.
No, I was I feel like I was talking to McKenna about this where I remember feeling like really irritated and it wasn't even really at you, but when we were at camp and we would have like plans and then I would feel like you invited all of your other friends on our hangout and I remember being like I just want to hang out with you though.
Oh.
And I was telling McKenna that like when I was in San Francisco that I just sometimes reminisce on because it was kind of immature of me to have that response because just felt very protective of you, I think, and I was like, I just want us time. But
Yeah.
yeah, honestly, when I was thinking about times I was irritated, that like goes to the top of the list.
That's number 1.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I don't
funny.
know. That's the one that came to my mind.
I yeah, I think that that's very valid and I did that. And I should have valued our time alone, and I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm over it at this point. I won, I would argue. So
Yeah, you for sure won
I
in
was
that
in it for the
competition.
long haul. So I was like, these petty battles. I mean, I'm gonna win the war. So
Yeah, it's all about sticking through it.
yeah, I really struggle to be angry at friends. I think I just try to like really remove myself from the situation, which also makes me very conflict averse and confrontation averse. And I feel like if I've been burned once by someone, like they had a bigger reaction to something than was warranted, I very much am overly conscientious of the situation.
Totally. Yeah, there are I think with my friends, the people who I've kept on my inner circle,
On the payroll, yeah.
yeah, kept on the high paying payroll, you know what I'm saying?
No, I'm paid well. Yeah.
I'm happy with how I'm compensated.
Yeah. No, I'm yeah, thrilled.
Um, there's such a level of even if at some point in the future you were to become really, really angry with me. Say I did something really, really upset you, you were really, really angry with me. I know so solidly that the way you would handle it would not be like a big kind of out of the blue outburst. I think the moments where I've really maybe leveled someone to an outer level of my space is when there is a reaction to anger or to frustration that feels unpredictable to me.
Mm,
That feels
yeah.
so unsafe. And even going back to what I was talking about earlier, where I tend to really self-reflect into myself and into my past, like that definitely makes sense with me from my past, that if someone is unpredictably kind of heated about something all of a sudden, I'm I'm so not about it.
No, I fully agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not
I
like
don't even know how I would respond if I was mad at you or, like, truly angry at you. I, like, really do not know.
let's role play.
No, I'm not even saying that. I'm just like, I I can't put that feeling in my body right now. Like, I don't
Yeah,
even know what that would be like.
it feels too far away.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. I don't know.
I get that. Um,
Okay, sorry for pivoting on anger. We can go to something else.
no, that's okay. I actually have something kind of related.
Okay.
Wait, it's actually totally related.
Oh my gosh.
It was the one thing that I wanted to talk to you about today.
Oh.
I so I work at Trader Joe's. You all know this.
Yeah.
The the number one grocery store in all of our
How
hearts.
you pay your friends.
Exactly. That's how I have the huge paycheck to
Yeah.
pay you so well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, something that has happened since the moment I started working there, but really got to a level of absurdity this week was, I'm gonna call it the reach, because it's a reach. It's literally a reach. It's not like someone is extending themselves in a hyperbolic sense. It's someone is literally reaching to grab something, and it is happening within my personal space. Like my
Mm.
very personal space, someone at work is coming into that personal space to reach around me to get something, to reach up, up to get around me. Like it's gotten so absurd.
Mm.
And I talk to my coworkers, and I know that this is definitely a common thing. I'm sure if you've ever worked in a very heavily trafficked, you know, place such as Trader Joe's, you're used to people coming into your personal space, but it's so exhausting.
Mm.
And I felt for sure some anger about some of the more blatant reaches that I experienced this week. And one time that was blatant, I was kind of crouching down, so a lower level, stocking some shelves, and I had a manager who's also a friend who was kind of chatting with me right next to me. And this person reaches basically past my ear, like into the space between my shoulder and my ear to grab something. So very, very close to me. Might have even, I think, grazed my hair clip, which made me startle. Like I was visibly kind of scared by it because I was distracted talking to someone, and then all of a sudden I'm feeling someone right next to me, and I kind of jump up and I'm acting startled, and my first instinct is to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, go ahead."
Mhm.
And I it's so tough because in that moment I was, 1, scared, I was 2, angry because oh, we lost light. Okay, we're back with light. I was angry and scared, and then also I immediately got into the instinct that I feel at my job, which is kind of like, you are the employee, they are the customer. Do whatever you can do in your job to make the customer feel so warm and special and fine. You know, whatever they do, that is fine. And I had such a moment where that happened, and my friend who was next to me, who witnessed it, she was like, "Excuse us." And And the person was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And she was just like, "You can say excuse me and we will move." And the person who reached was clearly uncomfortable, but I just like really appreciated her being like, that was not okay at all.
Mhm.
At all. And I got really kind of like weirdly beating myself up after it because I was like, fuck, Lara, like you shouldn't immediately be saying to these people, "Oh, that's fine." Like go ahead. Blatantly ignore the fact that I'm a human and I, you know, have the right to a personal space at work. Go ahead. That's so fine, y'all. Like, absolutely do that. And I think that it's just a tough line to walk because I'm new at my job. I want to keep doing well. I want people to think I'm good at my job. I want people to whatever. But I think that the root of it is Lara being uncomfortable saying, "Hey, that wasn't cool." And being okay watching someone get really uncomfortable in front of me because that's what it was. They were clearly so apologetic of what they had done because it was so blatantly not okay. But we just had to kind of sit in it and be like, yeah, that lots of people saw you do that actually, and not cool at all. And you got called on it pretty loudly. So have a great day. Like,
Wow. I have so many follow-ups.
oh, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna start with my like open-ended question,
Okay.
which is I I'm curious from your opinion if like personal space has been something that is easily triggered in you before. Like, is this something that you can think is like a pattern where your personal space is very important, especially in like professional phases, or is this kind of a new thing to your job at Trader Joe's?
I think
Like, obviously, personal space is important to everyone, but I'm curious if it has felt like it's come up more recently.
I would say that in other customer service settings where I've worked, I've definitely been aware of personal space, but it's gotten to the point with Trader Joe's where because of the repetitive disregarding of my personal space or of other people's personal space, it's kind of there's too many tally marks. And now when it does happen and when it's so very much not okay, it's extra bad feeling in my body. And I think in other customer service settings, I've been hyper aware of when men or male appearing people do it because I'm, scared of them. But I think it's at Trader Joe's, it's everyone who's doing it. And with everyone, I'm so done with it. And people, I think I was talking to one coworker about it because he was saying that the thing that really frustrates him, and he's had many more years than I have in this setting, so a lot of experience with it, is he is noticing a trend where young people don't ever say excuse me or pardon me. They just get into your personal space. And then when you either look at them in a reactive way or move away, they say, "Oh, sorry, sorry, sorry." Or even when
Mm.
maybe they're scooting past someone, they say, "Oh, sorry." And he was kind of saying, like, that's even annoying to me. Like,
That's
we
so
can
true.
we can just say, you can say, "Pardon me," and I can move out of your way. There doesn't need to be a level of us getting close at all. But something with young people, but I would say, I mean, I've noticed it of people of all ages
Yeah.
where there's no exchange until the, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then what do you say after that? You have to or at least I've felt like I then have to say, "Oh, no, you're fine."
Yep.
Because what else are you gonna say? "Yeah, you should be sorry."
Yeah, maybe that's the new thing you should start saying.
Maybe,
Apology
yeah.
rejected.
Apology rejected, feel bad about this for a few days.
So is it mainly customers that are doing this, or do you feel like there's any boundary physical space crossing with coworkers too?
Definitely just customers,
Mm.
because I think there's just such an understanding with other coworkers where they know that this is a particular point of the day where you're exhausted with that. So I think everyone is really, really hyper aware of respecting each other's personal space, even in the back when we are working in super, super close conditions, because there's not a lot of space in the back and there's a ton of product and we all have to just get the job done. Everyone is really conscious of trying to communicate well about that, because I think, you know, we just it's a lot. And I think it's no new fact that people in customer service kind of jobs might feel like, you know, people don't think I'm a person. People think I'm just a robot with no feelings and no rights and whatever. And I just like, it's not a new feeling that I have felt, because I've had other roles like that, but it's going back to, the stacking of what is it called?
Trigger stacking?
Trigger stacking. It's just trigger stacking, truly, because I'm tired, my body hurts, and now you're also basically in my hair. Like, you might as well be, like, standing on top of my feet,
Yeah.
because it's really you just go ahead and whisper into my ear next time, because that's what it feels like you wanna do.
Hmm. Yeah. It's so interesting because I feel like any retail job, but also, I mean, I think specifically at a grocery store, people have like a one track mind. And a
Mhm.
lot of the values that they would say that they care about outside of that, like, don't always translate to when they're in that very like narrow mind space. And I think it's easy to default to like, well, this person works here. Like, I'm just going to
Mhm.
reach around them. But I
Mhm.
think you make such a good point that is important for us all as consumers to remember that, like, everyone deserves it regardless of where they are.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, I do totally agree with your coworker that said we just default to doing the move and then saying I'm sorry as if that made it all
Mhm.
okay. And that has just become the norm. And then you're right, the response is like, that's fine. Totally fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And with a smile on your face.
Mhm. You're good.
Um,
Whereas
yeah.
I think it's actually completely valid, and something I wanna start trying to say more is, "That's okay, you can just say, 'Excuse me,' next time," you know? And I'll
God,
move.
someone is gonna flip on you. Like, this is not to say you shouldn't do it, but I'm just
I
saying,
know.
like, I feel like people are so sensitive
I
about
know.
that.
Ugh. It's yeah. And I was talking to McKenna about this after it happened, and she was right in saying that Trader Joe's is unique in that we have so many employees that are constantly stocking the shelves, because everything is so, frequently needing to be restocked because we're the busiest Trader Joe's, whatever. And that is something that people don't find at other grocery stores. At Safeway, if you go down the canned food aisle, you're not going to really get find any human obstacles,
Mm-mm.
because there's just not going to be workers there. Whereas at Trader Joe's, there's going to be a lot of people working, restocking the shelves, talking to people, and people don't know how to act. People
Mhm.
are like, we don't know how to act right now. And so they do the most ridiculous things.
Yeah. But I mean, it goes back to them. And again, like, I say this knowing that I'm sure that I've crossed people's boundaries before. But I mean, I think it's at the end of the day, it's you prioritizing your own needs in that moment
Mhm.
over someone else's.
Yeah,
And that's not great.
totally.
Yeah. Interesting.
So that's what I wanted to talk to you about was the reach.
Yeah. The
There are
reach.
also other things that happen at work where I'm just like, this could be studied. I see a lot. I was talking to another friend today about male loneliness because
Mm.
that's something that we like to talk about a lot. And that is something I see lots of examples of at work. But we'll save that for another time because we're well over 35. My timer went off a few, like 10 minutes ago.
I was literally wondering, I was like, wow, this has been the longest 35 minutes of my entire life. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Well, my final thought is that even though you guys don't think that I have a sexy, sick voice, I am sick. And I um I've been really struggling because I'm not very good at being sick.
Hmm.
I like to Ryan, would you like to add to this?
He's just creeping into scene.
Yeah. You
How am I when I'm sick?
you still need to do everything and just
Mm.
be everything to everyone.
Can you tell the listeners how hard it was for me to call out of work today?
Oh.
Infuriatingly hard. Honestly, it was hard to watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe a little more brutal than I
Sorry.
thought you would have gone
Don't
there,
drag it
but
too far, huh?
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
hey, you did it though.
Yeah, I did do it. And I canceled class Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, which I've
Okay.
never done ever.
Yeah.
So overall, I think this has been a big win for me.
Yeah, I'm super proud of you.
Thank you. I mean, even just like canceling Pilates on Tuesday night, one of the hardest things I've ever done. I was having to hype myself up to send you guys that text.
Yeah. I
I was like, they're going to
y-
hate me. They're never going to talk to
oh,
me again. They're going to think I'm the worst.
oh my god.
All today, convinced myself that my boss thought that I was faking it.
Mhm.
She saw my story about it and she texted me. She's like, Mallory, no one thinks you're faking it. Like, literally no one. And I
Yep.
was like, I know, but I'm telling you that my biggest insecurity is that you think I just called out because
Mhm.
for no reason other than I just didn't want to work. And I was like, I can't emphasize how much that's not the case. And she's like, Mallory, stop. So I'm
Oh,
neurotic, is the bottom line.
I think that you are just
Unwell.
you're unwell. You are the dream employee is what you are.
Yeah, but that I'm capitalism's dream employee,
Absolutely.
which is the worst part of it is like today, honestly, what I kept repeating through my head when I was canceling my class is how can I possibly expect my students to set boundaries if I'm not even doing it for myself? Like if I show up to my class at 3:30 and I'm like, "Yeah, guys, I feel like shit. I'm really sick, but I'm here." Like what
Mhm.
am I teaching them? I'm teaching them to override what their body is telling them and do it even when they're sick, when their body's like, "No, we'd like to sleep." And
Yeah.
I just don't want to be that person.
Yeah. Practice that and then your future babies will be like, my mom is so well practiced in giving her body the rest it needs. That is sick.
I don't think that's the thing they'll ever say. They'll
They're
be
gonna say
like,
that at like 6 months old. I'm betting you money.
no, they'll be like, dad is so cool and chill and relaxed, and mom's just like so tightly wound. Yeah. Like, fuck. All right. Well,
Oh.
thank you for listening to our more than 35-minute long podcast. I need to go get some dinner. I feel a headache very severely coming on because I haven't eaten in recent
Okay.
hours, but what a lovely evening.
Yeah. I love you so much and go fuel your body with delicious pizza.
I'm glad we're friends. And I think this date went well. Do you want to go on a second?
I want to go on like 2,000 million more dates.
Okay, that's really nice. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye.